Hi there, my name is Beck and the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share and subscribe and ring that little bell so you're notified when new videos drop. If you like Doctor Who, I'm giving away Doctor Who DVDs for the next couple of months while the new series Doctor Who is running. The next one is going to be this one, Dalek War. It's a 2-story, 4 DVD box set with stories are, what's a good question? Frontier in Space and Planet of the Daleks, starring Jon Pertwee. The Master's in one of them. Fantastic stories. All you got to do to win it is subscribe to the channel and comment on any social media platform you want with the hashtag Dalek War. All the instructions are in the show notes. I don't think anybody's done it yet. So if you want this DVD and you do that, you will probably win it. If you don't want it, that's fine. Oh, and even if you don't want to win the DVDs, if you could subscribe to the channel, you hit that subscribe button, that really, really, really helps me and all of us small, piddly ant little creators who are at a disadvantage compared to the massive corporations that YouTube likes to favor. I have been watching The Witcher, and I am a complete Witcher newbie. I've never played the game or read the books. Oh no, I know absolutely nothing about it. So, as such, it took me some time to tune into it. I'm 2 episodes in right now, because it's really not what I was expecting at all, which is kind of silly, because it's exactly what it was described to be. Now, I always thought I liked fantasy, but it turns out I like Game of Thrones, up until season 6 or 7, and Lord of the Rings. Well, this thing is in a completely different ballpark. It's much more like closer to Kroll or one of those choose your own adventure books, or the fighting fantasy. That's what I used to love those when I was a kid. I should really get some more. I bet I could read one in like a couple of hours now, probably less. Do they still make them? I don't know. I have to look into it. Anyway, so I think the difference is what I was thinking of as fantasy is really fantasy from the top genius minds in the genre, Tolkien or George R.R. Martin. So I'm assuming those are few and far between. That's not like, your normal fantasy fare. Those are extremely high quality. And I don't think it's fair to base everything else on those standards. I think this is probably much more normative fantasy fare. So it took me a while to get over that and judge this on its own merits. And I'm glad I did, because I think I'm liking it. I'm still not 100% sure. But if I didn't get some requests to review this, I don't think I would have made it through the first episode. I would not have stuck with it. So, okay, here are my impressions. And if you're a fan of The Witcher, and oh my god, you guys are super, super fans. Like, everybody's a fan of The Witcher. Was like, The Witcher's coming! And they was like, well, what is it? It's The Witcher! And that's why I really didn't know anything about it going in. So if you're a fan of The Witcher, just keep in mind, I'm a complete newbie and I know absolutely nothing. So, as far as I can tell, The Witcher is a sort of mercenary that only deals with killing monsters. He's a sort of bug or rodent exterminator for the Witcher's world. And, that is a truly awful world to live in. Yeah, they have magic and monsters, very cool, but they have a lot of dirt. What looks to me like no law and order whatsoever. Like, if somebody's stronger than you, he can kill you, and there's pretty much impunity, and take whatever he wants from you. So, just about everybody isn't very nice in the world of The Witcher. There aren't that many witches around. Yeah, the Witcher is I think it's a species, I think it's a species. Again, maybe we'll find out more. So there aren't that many of them around. I get the impression that this Witcher is the last of an endangered species, which for some reason the village peasants don't like very much at all. They're kind of like Jews in Europe. If we had magical powers and could vanquish monsters instead of being accountants. Which, if you have a lot of money, being a good accountant is kind of a magical power. At least I am reliably informed. So, Henry Cavill is freaking great in this role. He's clearly very, very into it. He likes a lot. Like, his pre-publicity interviews were just perfect. Henry did very well with those ones. I think I did a video. So he is really perfect in the role, but I was already very warmly predisposed to him because of his pre-publicity interviews. So he's the Witcher is a very Judge Dredd-like character, very monosyllabic and gruff. And the wizard in the first episode says he doesn't think that witches have emotions. But yeah, I do get some emoting going on underneath his eyes, underneath his like harsh exterior, and he does sleep with somebody in the first episode, which seems to be kind of a bit of a tender emotional moment there. But really, okay, the reason that they got Henry Cavill for the show. By the way, Henry Cavill, I really like it. Generally speaking, if he's in anything now, I will see it, because I really thought he was great in Superman, and he was fantastic at the villain in Mission Impossible. I love that fight scene in the bathroom where he's like, shakes himself up, and I just love his physicality. He's like he's like a bag full of just muscles, coiled muscles, writhing against each other. So his physicality is why he's playing this role. And yeah, the swordplay is fantastic, and it's wonderfully choreographed. It's got these little hints of that Zack Snyder 300s, blood splatter, blood going on, and it's choreographed very well. So the other thing I wasn't expecting about this series is it's much more episodic than I thought it would be. I think it probably would have been better if they made this a weekly thing rather than dropping it all in one go. Yeah, it's funny. I really wanted them to do that with The Expanse season 4, but they dropped it all in one go. But when they did that, it worked out much better, I think, for The Expanse, because it was one whole cohesive story. It was much more bingeable. This, I get the feeling, is much more episodic. So I guess the next stage of evolution in streaming TV will be working out what shows should be dumped in one go and what shows should be serialized. I do hope more are serialized, because I like the extra time to digest something and think about it over the week. Okay, so we open up the first episode with this freaking awesome battle. Which again, to me, looked like it was ripped from the pages of one of those choose your own adventure, Fighting Fantasy, choose your own adventure books. But the reason that probably looks that way to me is because I think that's one of my only exposures to, my only reference points to fantasy. It's with this like multi-legged spider-like monster. The special effects are pretty darn good. They're not cinematic. They're not cinematic quality, but they're way above TV standards. My guess is they probably had a similar budget as Game of Thrones, but they have a lot more effect shots to complete with that budget. But still, it's beyond passable. It's pretty. It would have been high level special effects work for like 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago. But it really works. Okay, so after the beast is vanquished, he ends up in this village where... he ends up in the village, and that's where I get hit with this real current yearness of the series. And it's like, hits me in the face, boom, because the population of the Witcher's world is much like the population of the Western world today, which is colorblind. Anybody could have any skin tone. It's not... There's no predominant. It's not unusual to see somebody of a different skin tone, much like in the world of The Witcher. Now that makes sense for our world, because we have modern transport, we have modern mass transport, and we've had a good 60 years of mass emigration and immigration. So populations are easily mixed, resulting in our multicultural, multicolored landscape you see when you walk down the street anywhere in the Western world. In the Witcher's world, it looks like they have medieval technology, so they don't have all that. They don't have the mass modern transport. Yeah, again, I know it's fantasy. I know there's monsters, but if you're referencing something that's based in the real world, then to have it not like that is jarring. So equally by the skin tone, so you don't have the mass transportation we have today. Equally, skin tone is a result of environment. So yeah, everybody would have to be the same color. You know, everybody would be white, or they would be dark, or they'd be whatever. Everybody would be the same color. They wouldn't. You wouldn't have this checkerboard, look of the people. But yeah, again, I guess it's fantasy. But if they don't, and I don't think they're ever going to explain it. But fine, okay, fine. It's 2020, and so we need to have colorblind casting. And once you factor that in, it's pretty easy to tune that out. It's like, I said this in a video the other day. It's like looking at a movie or TV show from the 70s, and everyone's got like funky hair and fashion and big platforms. Well, you can tune that out pretty quickly, so you get into the actual story that you're watching. So the Witcher rides into the village, and instantly all the villagers hate him because they hate witches. Which is something I hope they're going to explain, and equally, I hope it's something I hope they didn't explain yet. Yeah, I hope it's not. I didn't nod off or miss that explanation. I should really maybe do. No, I'm not doing any research on this because I don't research. I want to have my raw opinions going into it. So there's some bits of politics going on in the Witcher's world. We find out more about that in the second episode. Elves are near extinct, having been mostly culled by humans after they stole their magical knowledge and technology, and then they wiped out the fairies, not fairies, the elves. And by the way, in terms of production values, I would say this is like one notch below Carnival Row, which I thought the production values there were just they were cinematic. It was like one notch below that. Okay, so the main thrust, we have another thread of story going on, which again I think is a bit of a starts off with like Game of Thrones just politics. Well, not really. You have this city-state called Sintra. I think it's called Sintra. Sintra. That gets and there's some spoilers here. So if you haven't seen it, you don't need spoiled. Run away now. The city-state that gets invaded by the I can't remember the name of the Flagellans or something. And the last surviving member of the royal family, this young blonde girl called Cyrilla, is on the run, and she's been sent to find find the Witcher, as that's her destiny. And then at the end of the episode, she displays some magical powers that she didn't know she had, that were activated from her screaming. It's actually a really cool thing. She makes this massive trench in the ground with this giant pillar of rock fall over. Pretty cool, but she doesn't know what it is or how to use it or control it. And that's basically where that first episode ends. The second episode, the Witcher is hardly in it. He's in it. He's on a bit of a side quest. He meets up with a bard, a guy who plays the lute and sings songs. I get the feeling he's going to be a major character. I can't remember his name. He's the lute guy in my head. Hopefully I will, if he's in it more, I'll learn his name. So, but that, okay, it's fair enough that he's pushed offside, because most of this episode is dedicated to introducing another character, who I assume is going to be very important, called Yennefer. Now, so it's pretty clear to me that Yennefer is played by this super, super gorgeous actress, but they have her in this twisted spine, humpback makeup. It's not a million miles away from the makeup that they gave Susan Oliver in that first episode of Star Trek, The Cage, like, what was it, 66? Did they film that pilot in 66 or 65? And at the end of the episode, they show that she's not this gorgeous woman, but she's been it's an illusion. She's like, so that's basically what what Yennefer looks like in it. So I was waiting for the whole freaking episode for her to be zapped by some kind of like magical thing and have her turn into like the beautiful version of her. But no, we're stuck with the humpback version. So, but yeah, maybe she'll be in like we'll get a beautiful version of her by the end of the season. Maybe not. I mean, boy, that's a lot of work for a setup. I thought it'd be like half an episode. No, it's a full episode. I have no idea how much longer it's going to be. Okay, but Yennefer's story is another example of how life in the Witcher's world is freaking awful and nowhere that anybody wants to go. She gets attacked by really kind of nasty by these bullies at the beginning, and she's about to get and as she's about to get beaten, she as she's about to get beaten, suddenly she's in this different room which has like these skulls in it, like making that not just on the floor, but they're built into the architecture. And there's this guy in it, Istrid, I think his name is. So yeah, much like Cirilla, she has powers that she was unaware of and can't control. When she's teleported there, she meets a guy, and the guy says, "Oh, you must have teleported, but because you teleported, this witch is going to be able to find you." And he teleports her back to her home. Well, the witch does indeed find her, and she buys her from a family, which turns out to be her adopted family, for 4 marks. To get an idea of the monetary scale and the relationship she has with her father, well, it turned out to be her adoptive father, is that he also sells pigs, but the pigs are about, I think, 10 marks, and he's selling her for 4. So, that's how the world of The Witcher is. Freaking awful. Fine. Okay, so this witch finds her, buys her, and then imprisons her in this sort of like Witcher Hogwarts, and starts training her to do witchy things. And she sucks at it. She's really, really awful. There's like 3 other students, and they're all really good at everything. She is useless at everything. But at the same time, she also seems to be like super, super overpowered as well in certain occasions. So there's something else going on. I guess we're going to find out, because the other witches in training don't end up where you would expect them to end up from their ongoing excellence in witchiness. Okay, so that is the Witcher. I think I'm into it. I do. I think I'm into it. I will go another episode at least, and I will continue to review it. I also have lots of I have that, and Lost in Space to get through, and a bunch of Big Finish releases, which I've got to finish listening to. The one I'm listening to right now, the War Master, the Anti-Genesis, freaking awesome. Really love that one. So yeah, I got stuff to listen to, stuff to watch. Then I got videos to make. My name is Fila Beckham, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, subscribe. Please consider subscribing, because that really does make my life so much better. Why would you want to make my life better? Why wouldn't you? Why not? Have a great day, and thank you for listening.